Hello everybody and welcome back to another video. This week I thought it would be quite fun to do like a little mini reading challenge and it will be reading 100 pages a day. Purely because last week with the heatwave in England I did not want to pick up physical books, and I thought this week it'd be a great idea to set this little challenge to try and read some more physical books. But that being said, let me tell you about what I've been reading so far today. So I started reading Hopeless by Elsie yesterday, and it is the final book in the Chestnut Spring series. And I've had this on my shelf for who knows how long, and I've just been putting it off. I don't even know why, really. But I finally picked it up yesterday and I read so much of it already. I'm on page 246, like 250 pages in. So I've completed the challenge so far. But no. So in this book you're following, because it's a romance, you're following Beau and Bailey. Beau is an Eton, Bailey is a Jansen, and basically in the town, the Jansens are quite like seen as like the slummy family, like seen as like then they do no good, bit like, you know, local like thugs kind of, is that the vibe I'm getting. And Beau's Eton, you know, his family are very like beloved in the town, and you find out like Bailey wants to get out of the town but no one's giving her jobs because of her last name. So then Beau, who has liked Bailey for a while, says, let's, you know, fake an engagement to see if that helps you get a job so then you can save up money and leave. Then you're also following PTSD with Beau because he was in like the army or something, and you know, he missed his way home one day and he was like left in a cave and he was starving and everything, which is a massive part of the book. I feel like, you know, this type of thing you should probably check out the trigger warnings, but I'm enjoying it a lot. It's a nice little cheesy romance and it's very easy to read and follow. And I've been listening to this on audiobook, been listening while I've been knitting and crocheting a little bit past couple of days as well. I don't know what I'll be reading after once I finish this book. Again, as I said, I want to read physical books, so for this challenge, like for the 100 pages a day, that has to be a physical book for me, which can be listened to as an audiobook. Like, I'm not too fussed about that, but basically it doesn't count if it's a Kindle book, because when I go into bed in the evening I'm reading on my Kindle normally because it's just easier to be like cozy and curled up. And like, don't get me wrong, obviously I'm still reading more than 100 pages that I want to read, but still. And also, like, if I get to 100 pages, I'm not going to put the book down and be like, no more for the day, I'm just going to keep reading. It's just, I want to have like the minimum of 100 pages. And like, I know me, I know that I can hit that goal quite easily, even if I've got things going on. So like, I know tomorrow me and Ben, we're going to the zoo, which I'm really excited about, because we like going to like to see animals and stuff. And we're trying to do things that we've been wanting to do, because obviously we're moving next month. Oh, well, actually we're moving this month by the time you're watching this. We move at the end of July back to where his parents are in Luxembourg. So we're trying to do things like around here, which is where my family are from. And yeah, so we're going to the zoo tomorrow, which I'm very excited about. And then I think, what else are we doing? Then I've got a knitting club at the weekend, and we're also having dinner with my best friend and her boyfriend out on Sunday as well. So like, it's a very like, it's not busy, but also like we're doing things alongside all of this. Like, you know, we're decluttering, we're sorting out admin stuff of moving and visas, and just like little things. And we also got like someone coming to look at the flat on Friday. It's like for possible new tenants, which I don't want to think about because I hate people coming into my home. So I need to like, definitely on Thursday, like deep clean the flat a bit. Not like it's like dirty or anything, I just want to make sure it's like presentable for strangers. But no. And the other big thing, I've got new glasses. They're very big on my face, and I quite like them. I feel like, I don't know, Ben says I look very nerdy, and I feel like I do, but like I quite like the vibe.
try to spread them so everyone can get some. Always busy eating. Yeah, you know. I enjoyed it. Look at this.
Hi. So, reading update. Last night I finished reading Hopeless by Elsie Silver, and I had a really good time reading that book. No hate to Elsie Silver, like her books, they're fun and they're good. They're not great for me anyway, at least the ones I've read so far. But Hopeless, like it was a good story. I enjoyed seeing all the characters again. And tragically, I come back to edit and the audio just somehow went weird. So I am discussing the books that I'm thinking of reading next. My options were Paladin's Hope by T. Kingfisher, um, The Women of Troy, The Silence of the Women of Troy by Pat Barker, and also Heavenly Bodies. And I ruled out Heavenly Bodies after realizing it's meant to be like a 5-book series. 5 books, that's crazy. And only the first 2 are out right now. So I have decided to keep that like ready for when more of the books are out, because otherwise I just won't. Like, I know myself, I know that if I read the first book now, and maybe read the second one, I have to wait like a year or more for the next one. Probably won't continue reading the series, which is very sad, but oh well. Reading update for today. I'm gonna DNF The Silence of the Girls. I think it just I think it might be because I'm listening to the audiobook. However, also when I'm reading it, I'm a little bit confused. There's just a couple of times Pat Barker is switching the POV from Briseis to Achilles, and it is confusing. And then also, if you're listening to the audiobook, everyone has British accents, but like really thick northern accents. And another thing is with with these type of books, the language I think that the writer uses is very crucial. If you use too much of a modern language, it will very much bring the reader out of it. And repeatedly, Pat Barker is using like just the term mate to refer like from like one of the men, and it just all I'm picturing is a fucking chummy man, a really disgusting man at the pub talking to a friend, and I'm like, no. I feel like if they were, they would be a bit more polite and they'd be a bit more like my friend, because they would say my friend, they wouldn't say mate. So no, I think just that, and just like it's not. I'm DNFing this book and I'm gonna unhaul it immediately. It just wasn't for me, which is a shame. I mean, I read like almost 200 pages. I got to page 184, and I was like, no, I need to put this book down and not read anymore. Just because, again, the language, mate, don't use that for a Greek mythology retelling, and it's just really much of a shame. But I feel, and also the book being titled "The Silence of the Girls" and then having Achilles POVs in there really threw me off as well. And I was looking on Storygraph, like other people's reviews, and people were saying, yeah, having Achilles POVs and the use of like the northern British accents on the audiobook really took them out of the book as well. So I know I'm not alone in this complaint. It's just a shame. It is much of a shame because I've been hoping this book would be really good. I've also just noticed there's a massive like coffee stain in the middle, but it wasn't me. So sadly, I will be unhauling this book and not reading anymore, which means I need to choose another book to read. And I think I am probably just going to read Paladin's Hope by T. Kingfisher. Again, because I might as well continue a series. The only other thing I guess I would have to say right now is that my knitting is going really well. Excuse all of the stitch markers. Okay, the tutorial just has like on one side, but I wanted to have all of them just so I can count my stitches nicely. because you're meant to knit stockinette stitch for 60 rows but stop at row 59 before you start working on the heel. And so I'm just counting in tens. We've still got every single side looked recently, but I'm really proud of it. It's coming along really well, and I'm having fun just sitting here knitting while I listen to the audiobook, even if the audiobook wasn't great. That book wasn't great. But no, very much disappointing. Very well. But I guess I will check in either later or tomorrow with my update for Paladin and Soap. I'm very much looking forward to reading some of that. I just don't know whether now to listen to the audiobook or read physically for a bit of a break from knitting. Hello. Okay, so I am here to wrap up this video. Reading 100 pages a day as a challenge for me, it actually failed this time around because I got so distracted with knitting. I did finish my sock. So this is the sock. It is obviously the first sock in a pair. I just started knitting the second one, but it's gone so well. I've still got all my stitch markers that I count like every 10 for the next one, so I can knit the second sock so it'll be easier. But I'm really, honestly, for my first ever like proper knitted like project garment, like I've only ever knitted squares before this, I'm so pleased with myself, and I'm really pleased with how my heel flap turned out and how I found like the gusset part quite easy. The only thing I struggled with is obviously at first holding the needles, because it's my first time ever using the DPNs, the double point needles, and also the Kitchener stitch at the end. However, I found like I found that someone had posted like a video on TikTok how they do the Kitchener stitch, and seeing that and the tutorial, the crazy sock lady one I was watching on YouTube together, I think for the next one I can do way better. And I'm already finding like knitting the cuff, knowing how to hold the needles is a lot easier now, and I'm so pleased with this, and it fits, which is the main thing. It's definitely a lot bigger. I think like I'm making the second one to match this, but if I was to knit this like basic sock again, I would halve the leg and maybe the cuff. I think I would have it more like that length, because it looks massive. I mean, I've got big feet, I'm a size 7, and this just looks ginormous. Like honestly, yeah, it's like the leg is the same thing as the sock. However, because I was wearing just this one sock last night, during that we're having a heat wave, like it was like 30 degrees yesterday. When I was wearing it in the evening, I didn't feel overly warm. I mean, maybe that's because I only had one sock on. I think because it's knitted and like my tension's really like, I have quite like high tension I guess with this, but still like you can still feel the breeze a little, which is quite nice. I feel like this would be perfect like come like January, February when it's really cold and like you want to put something cozy on. This, because like a lot of my socks are quite thin because they're from Primark, so I think this and many more that I come to make we like perfect little addition for my little winter cozy mornings. So I'm really excited to keep knitting. And I want to learn how to do some stripy socks, socks with like contrast cuff, heel and toe, because I've got lots of like odd 4-ply sock yarn. So that's the plan. But anyway, let's get onto the books. So first thing is, obviously I was reading Paladin's Hope by Kingfisher last, and I finished this last night, and this was really good. I listened to this mostly because, again, as I was knitting my sock, it made more sense. The only thing I'd have to say is I think this is my least favourite so far in the series, which has nothing to do with the characters. I love all the characters. I love Earstripe. He is the Knoll in this, and he is probably my favourite character. I just loved him so much. Like, genuinely, give me a whole book about Earstripe. Earstripe and Brindle having a little adventure. That's all I want. But again, this is 260 pages. I just feel like the romance felt very insta-lovey. But I also loved how they were also quite mature at the same time. Like Galen, who's the Paladin here, red hair. First of all, red hair as well. I felt like, seen. But he's also complex because he's a Paladin of the god of steel that died, and so because of that, he has like lots of nightmares, and like obviously obvious PTSD. And then Piper, who was the Lich Doctor, who was like, he the one like studies dead bodies and stuff. I don't know, I didn't really like him as much in this book, which is weird because you see him a couple times already, and like I liked him then, just not as much when he's the focus. However, I still love this book. I believe I rated it a 3.75 stars on my Storygraph and Good and Fable, which, I mean, for me that's really good. Anything above a 3 is good for me. 5 is like I can't stop thinking about it. 4 is like this was so good, just like a little thing pissed me off. 3.75 is like really good for me. But I enjoy this a lot, and I'm looking forward to reading the next one, which is Paladin's Faith. Okay, and then to recap this video. So the first book I read was Hopeless by Elsie Silver. This took me by surprise how much I enjoyed it. I obviously must have been in like a romancy mood this week, but this was good. Like, it's just a good romance. The characters are lovely. It was a lovely way to end this like interconnected romance series, and I do think I want to pick up more Elsie Silver books. I read, is it Wild Love? Is it Wild Love, like the pink one? Here. I read that. I did not enjoy that last year. However, having read this just this week, and like thinking back to that book, I can say that, oh yeah, I did actually probably enjoy that more than I thought. But I think maybe I just preferred this one. And obviously all her books are on Kindle Unlimited. I've still got one more of her books. I have Off to the Races, I believe, and I will read that. I was actually thinking of unhauling that recently, but I didn't because I was like, I know that at some point I will fancy the because I know that like if I did unhaul it, at some point I will fancy to read it. That being said, they are all on Kindle Unlimited, but I still wanted to keep it because why not? But no, I think I will definitely try more of her books, because obviously I read Wild Side, didn't love that one. I might try the next one, because why not? And honestly, I do love all her covers. I know the works had a really gorgeous like set of this one, and I was like, I really want that, but I don't see the point in buying a whole like second copy of a series. But no, I still like these covers. They're really cute. And then I also I started to read The Silence of the Girls by Pat Barker, and I did not finish this one. I got halfway through, and just no. For me, I think I said this before, being a classics graduate student, especially, reading a book where they're trying to like almost modernize the language, but not the setting, for a Greek retelling, really confused me and irritated me to the point that I was like, I am never going to read another book by this author. I'm sure Pat Barker, I'm sure, you're a good author. I'm sure other books may be better. Maybe this is the one that was not good, and I ended up choosing this one. However, it was just no. I have expressed my thoughts and feelings, and I don't want to talk about it anymore. That being said, I still got three more books off my TBR, and I can safely say 2 are gonna stay on my red shelves. 1's gonna be kicked away. It's on the floor now. Yeah. But these 2 will stay on my shelves. I don't know if I said this before, maybe not in this video, but my TBR shelves are separate. And once I read a book and if I liked it, it moves onto my main read shelves, because I can't, if they're all on the same like big bookshelf, I can't distinguish what I've read, what I've not read. I need to have them separate, and this works for me as a good system. I'm going to be keeping this system for the definite future. I know these two will stay. Obviously, they both belong to a series, and they will be staying regardless. Okay, thank you all for watching. I will see you in the next one. Bye.